Monday. After a long holiday weekend, it's like, what the hell are we doing? So much stuff happening over the weekend between the Black Sabbath final show on Saturday, which everybody and their grandmother watched.
Did you? I didn't, though. I didn't.
I did not watch it live because I had to do a rock stop and I knew I wasn't going to be around, but I did watch. There was so many videos getting posted by all the, all the metal websites and all that stuff and people that are there and all that stuff. So, yeah, and I it was fantastic to watch and to see. I mean, the surprises, the Steven Tyler was incredible, doing some Zeppelin. All the bands paying homage to the godfathers of heavy metal. Lamb of God were unbelievably good. Metallica, Pantera, I mean, everybody, right? So, and it was cool to see, for the most part, just a celebration of the band, and there wasn't any politics, and there wasn't any BS, it wasn't a lot of...
It went on forever, hours.
And it was, and it's funny, you look at the set times, you're like, wait a minute, Alice in Chains is only playing for 15 minutes? Like, they're Alice in Chains, right? But it was just such a massive undertaking, right? And Ozzy had a set of solo stuff, and then, of course, Sabbath got together and had a set of their music, and the rest of the day it was all Sabbath tunes.
Hometown, I mean, the whole thing.
It was emotional, obviously, for a lot of us, because, even the younger generation who maybe aren't connected to Black Sabbath in a way that some of the older people are, can see the influence that Sabbath had on all these bands.
Well, and then, his Parkinson's disease and Singing from the Throne and all of that. But I didn't watch it live.
Sounded good, though. He did. I got to be honest. He sounded good. It sucks to see the Prince of effing Darkness, sitting. It was a cool-ass throne, don't get me wrong, but it's rough not to see him running around and clapping and being crazy and doing the Ozzy stuff with the buckets of water. And anyways, we'll talk more about the Black Sabbath, of course, back to the beginning show from Saturday. We'll recap our 4th of July weekends. Going to talk about naps. Going to talk about bad bosses. We got bad news, happy music. We got the friggin' sports. All sorts of stuff.
Got good weather today.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be pretty nice all this week. Mid to low 80s with a mix of sun and clouds. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much the forecast every day this week. So no real chance of rain either. I'm not seeing much. Maybe on Tuesday night, but that's about it.
Some. Yep.
So Papa Roach in a bit. And, of course, if you want to join us, rockmornings.com. All of our contact info is there. You can also download the app, 92.9 The X or 95.7 The Rock, and you can send us voicemails, submit pictures, videos, all that stuff right there on the app. So we'll hopefully hear from you today, and we'll, of course, talk more about the Black Sabbath show in just a bit.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Lots going on this weekend, not just in our area, but all throughout the country. Obviously, eyes are on Texas with the flooding that's happening down there.
Horrifying.
Just unbelievable. The flash flooding, too, that bridge. You're watching it, and it's, a half an hour of film, and it's sped up, and you see the people, and just, it's incredible. Families sifting through waterlogged debris yesterday, stepping inside empty cabins at Camp Mystic, an all-girls summer camp that was ripped apart by flash floods, washing homes off their foundations, killing at least 82 people in central Texas. Rescuers maneuvering through challenging terrain, high waters, snakes, water moccasins, just very dangerous. Continuing their desperate search for the missing, including 10 girls and a camp counselor from that camp, the Camp Mystic all-girls summer camp. First time since the storms began pounding Texas, the governor down there said there were 41 people confirmed to be unaccounted for across the state, and more could be missing. In Kerr County, which is home to Camp Mystic and other youth camps in the Texas Hill Country, searchers found the bodies of 68 people, including 28 children. Sheriff down there pledging to keep searching until everybody is found from the flash floods on Friday. 10 other deaths reported in Travis, Burnett, Kendall, Tom Green, and Williamson counties. And local officials there say the death toll is certain to rise over the next few days.
It's just horrific. Unbelievable stories coming out of there.
Additional rounds of heavy rain lasting into Tuesday could also produce more life-threatening flooding. Just awful. Absolutely awful what's happening down there. And if you heard it over the weekends, you might have scratched your head and said, what? but I guess it's happening.
And I even think we're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have. Does anybody watch UFC? The Great Dana White. We're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little. We're not. Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. We're going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people. And we're going to do that as part of 250 also. We're going to have some incredible events, some professional events, some amateur events. But the UFC fight's going to be a big deal, too. And
that was on Thursday, President Trump in Iowa making those statements, talking about the big 250th anniversary next year for the 4th of July. Conor McGregor, a lot of other UFC fighters piquing their interest about fighting at the White House. Not clear how far along the planning is for that event or if it'll definitely happen, but a spokesperson for the UFC said more details would be released in due time. Costco. I don't know if you shop at Costco.
Yeah, I do, not regularly because we don't have one here.
Recalling a bunch of products, by the way, okay, Costco shoppers. Flagging nearly a dozen recalled items in recent months from various manufacturers, products ranging from power banks to window air conditioners, some of which consumers are advised to stop using immediately. Several items were sold through Costco Next, a program that lets shoppers purchase items directly from the brands at Costco prices. Others were sold through Costco itself. Power bank, a couple of them, an air conditioner, cross-climate C-metric tires, apparently. Bowflex, adjustable dumbbells.
So a bunch of products from other companies, not the Kirkland brand.
Topo Chico mineral water glass 18-pack. A flip and toe rolling cooler from Igloo. Ninja food processor, or pressure cooker and air fryer. You can obviously give that a Google, but Costco is recalling a whole bunch of items right now. And the DNR is on the lookout for an invasive species. Not the first time, won't be the last. An invasive insect, actually. The Asian longhorn beetle established itself in other states as close as Ohio, where it's destroying maples and other trees that shed their leaves each fall. Has not been found in Wisconsin yet, but the DNR is asking people to keep an eye out.
Okay.
Beetle is also called the starry sky beetle for its appearance. Shiny black, white spots like stars. Antennae are long, have black and white stripes. Adult beetles are about 1 inch to 1.5 inches long, most active in July, August, and September. You know it if you saw it. If you think you see one or any other new or emerging insect, the DNR wants you to take a photo of it as high quality and as close up as you can. Report it along with the location as precisely as possible to the DNR. They've got a website that you can go to for more information about that one. And as we mentioned, Sabbath, of course, over the weekend with their final performance of all time. Taking his final bow from his bat throne that he had out there on stage, comes up from underneath and they wheel him back and get him all set up. And obviously Parkinson's,
50 years of playing music, though, Brian.
Sounded good,
though. A hell of a career.
Vocals sounded strong. Ozzy sounded strong, was energetic and enthusiastic. His solo set, I Don't Know, Mr. Crowley, Suicide Solution, Mama, I'm Coming Home, and Crazy Train. All 4 of the original Black Sabbath members reuniting for the first time in 20 years. They performed, of course, some of their much bigger hits, War Pigs, Nativity in Black, Iron Man, and then they closed it out. The final song was Paranoid.
Coming to our final song for ever. I just want to say to you on behalf of the guys in Black Sabbath and myself, your support over the years has made it all possible for us to live a lifestyle we live. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. I love you, we love you. And it's a song called Paranoid.
You had Jason Momoa, Aquaman, as the host, out there having himself a blast, jumping into the pit during Pantera's set. Mixed it up a little bit with the regulars. Sharon Osbourne saying that she disinvited a band from the event and that she would reveal who it was after the show was over. Apparently they were trying to profit somehow from this performance. She said, after the show, I'll let everyone know who it was. I think people will be shocked. Obviously, it wasn't any of the bands that actually played because they were disinvited. Sid Wilson from Slipknot proposing to
Saw that.
Ozzy's daughter, Kelly Osbourne. They've obviously had a relationship for a long time, but they've been dating since 2022. They have a 2-year-old, and now they're looking to make it official. Steven Tyler, as I mentioned, surprising the fans. Looked skinny, but sounded really good. His vocals were on point. Jack Black did a little pre-tape segment with a couple of kids you might have recognized, the sons of Tom Morello and Scott Ian. When your dad's a famous rock star, you probably get a little bit of that DNA, right? Obviously, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Tool, Mastodon, Anthrax, Hailstorm, Slayer. But
10 hours, wasn't it? About 10 hours.
And again, when you see the set list and you're like, wait a minute, Metallica's only playing a half hour?
But 10 hours.
Right, but 10 hours of all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it looked like it was a hell of a good time. And just an incredible way to say thank you to the band that kind of started it all when it comes to heavy metal. Very cool. It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. We'll get to some more Sabbath a bit later on. One thing that was notable from the Back to the Beginning show was that David Draymond got booed. Did you see that?
I didn't. Like I said, I've only watched a few highlights. I haven't seen it in its entirety yet.
David Draymond got booed. That's got to feel real bad. I mean,
that has to feel real bad.
Everyone's there to have a good time. Everybody's amped. All the best bands in the history of the world of rock and roll are there. And then you go out there and get booed. Like, right? Here's Disturbed now, Down with the Sickness.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
P. Roach, Even If It Kills Me. It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. The Brew Crew beat the Marlins on Friday 6-5. Lost on Saturday 4-2. And then Brandon Woodruff back on the bump for the first time in forever. 6 strong innings in his first start in 651 days. Jackson Chourio with a big home run drove in 3 runs. And the Brewers beat the Marlins again yesterday, 3-1.
Here's the pitch. Struck him out with a heater, and the Brewers take the series in Miami. McGill saved number 20, and for Brandon Woodruff, his first win since September 11th, 2023.
Yeah, Brandon Woodruff back on the bump and looked good. They took 2 out of 3 from the Marlins. They're at home tonight for the first of 3 against the Dodgers. 6:40 first pitch, only 6 games left before the All-Star break next weekend. Meanwhile, the Brewers are going to be without Rhys Hoskins for a few days. Injured his thumb in the loss on Saturday. Left thumb discomfort is what manager Pat Murphy said. So, said it doesn't look great. It's not fractured. He doesn't feel great right now. It's your bottom hand for swinging, so it's really, really important. Looks like Rhys Hoskins is going to be out for a while with this injured thumb as try to get that thing back to normal. Bobby Jenks, 2-time All-Star pitcher for the White Sox, who was on the roster when the franchise won the 2005 World Series, died Friday in Portugal. Jenks is 44, had been diagnosed with a form of stomach cancer earlier this year, spent 6 seasons with the White Sox from 2005 to 2010, played for the Red Sox in 2011, the reliever, finishing his major league career with a 16-20 record, 3.53 ERA, and 173 saves, but now dead at the age of 44. Last place Nationals, speaking of the Red Sox, the last place Washington Nationals got swept by the Red Sox over the weekend, and then they fired everybody. They fired the president of baseball operations, Mike Rizzo, and their manager, Dave Martinez.
Everybody, huh?
Yeah, Rizzo and Martinez both with the team when they won the World Series back in 2019, but they have floundered since. And this season, the Nationals are 37-53 at the bottom of the NL East, and then they got swept by the Red Sox this weekend at home. Washington hasn't finished higher than fourth in the division since they won the World Series in 2019. Free agent guard Ryan Rollins agreeing to a 3-year, $12 million deal to return to the Bucks with a player option in the third season. U.S. men's national team stumbling to a 2-1 loss to Mexico yesterday in the 2025 Gold Cup final. Back-to-back titles for Mexico, thanks to the game winner from Edson Alvarez. But, yeah, U.S. was strong in the earlier games, but just, took the lead early in this one, but then coughed it up and couldn't find any momentum. And meanwhile, a guy who had momentum all weekend, Shane Van Gisbergen, he swept in Chicago at the Xfinity race and the Cup race yesterday.
Maybe just go ahead and give him a key to the city because Shane Van Gisbergen does own the streets of Chicago. He delivers once again.
Hell yeah, buddy. Weekend sweep. You are a bat. Of 88 team.
Epic weekend for us. I'm a lucky guy, said Van Gisbergen. 36-year-old New Zealand native, becoming the second driver to sweep the Xfinity and Cup races in a single weekend from the pole, joining Kyle Busch, who did it at Indianapolis back in 2016, his third career Cup win. Van Gisbergen also becoming the winningest foreign-born driver in NASCAR's top series.
Congratulations.
He's good behind the wheel of a car.
Uh-huh. Heck of a weekend.
Sports on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Again, beautiful weather this week with high temps in the mid to low 80s.
Looks like it.
Mix of sun and clouds. Not going to be too hot or swassy. Don't see any real rain in our forecast
Slight
either.
chance on Tuesday. Slight chance Friday. Some thunderstorms could develop, in the evening, overnight, and then a slight chance on Saturday. But yeah, like you said, 84, 82. Lots of clouds and sun. Just a real nice week. Low humidity for a change.
Got some music from Sleep Theory on the way. Rockmornings.com if you want to get in touch with us. You can also, of course, download the apps, whether it's the 95.7 The Rock app or the 92.9 The X app. You can get in touch with us that way.
Would love to hear from you. Leave us a voicemail, send us photos, videos.
We'll get to that Sleep Theory next.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
Today's show is brought to you by July 7th. You blew off your finger on the 4th. Found it on the 5th.
It's in the bushes.
Reattached it on the 6th. And you're back at work on the 7th like nothing ever happened. Until the tape gives out just as Mary from accounting drops by with photos of her patriotic chihuahua. Cue the scream. Not from the pain, from the outfit.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Happy 7th of July. Hopefully you went back to work this morning with all your fingers and toes. Didn't have any fireworks mishaps. Enjoyed the fireworks from the ramp above John's Bar. Bunch of people up there, drank some beers. Saw the fireworks. Called it an evening.
Mm-hmm.
You?
We did not see the fireworks. Well, that's not true. We had a big cookout at our house in the afternoon, played bean bags, had a bunch of fun. And a whole group of people went down, but we did not. We stayed home.
10th season premiere of Bachelor in Paradise tonight on ABC. New episode of American Ninja Warrior on NBC. Also on NBC tonight, the series premiere of Survival Mode. A 9-episode limited series about recent disasters, including the Maui wildfires, the Amtrak 501 derailment, and Superstorm Sandy.
Never seen a storm surge like this in my life.
Everything I did was to stay alive.
This is a dangerous situation.
Our house was gone. We gotta run. There's a monster chasing us.
We have a multi-car pileup.
The truck was on top of my car.
You knew this was going to be a life-changing moment for them. We didn't know how much time we had.
I want to say thank you for saving my life.
Survival Mode premieres July 7th on NBC and Peacock.
New series on NBC tonight called Survival Mode. Also on Fox, The Quiz with Balls. Kimmel's the only thing new. The rest of the late night shows are in repeats. Kimmel's being guest hosted by Anthony Anderson, and he'll be talking to Nathan Fillion, Stacey Abrams, and Spirit Box is going to be playing on Kimmel later on tonight. A couple of actors dying over the weekend. Michael Madsen, over 340 credits on his IMDb page.
For sure.
He, of course,
that guy.
Most notably from Quentin Tarantino films. He died on Thursday morning of an apparent cardiac arrest. He was 67.
Okay, let's talk.
We think we got a rat in the house. We're out of here.
Don't take another step, Mr. White.
If I know what kind of guy you were, I never would have agreed to work with you.
Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite?
Best known for his association with Quentin Tarantino. He, of course, there in Reservoir Dogs as Mr. Blondes.
Torture me all you want. Torture you? That's a good idea. I like that one.
Had that kind of cool, weird vibe about him in a lot of his roles. Mm-hmm. He was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was in the Kill Bill movies, The Hateful Eight. He apparently could have had the role that John Travolta took in Pulp Fiction, but he was too busy filming Wyatt Earp, so he had to turn it down. Back in the day, he was in The Natural, one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. Thelma and Louise, Free Willy, Sin City. His sister, Virginia Madsen, who was also an actress. You might remember her from the original Candyman movie. She was the blonde. Said, I'll miss our inside jokes, the sudden laughter, the sound of him. I'll miss the boy he was before the legend. I miss my big brother. Michael Madsen, dying on Thursday from an apparent cardiac arrest at the age of 67. Also dying over the weekend was actor Julian McMahon, best known for his TV series Nip Tuck, which was on FX back in the day. Yeah. He was also on Charmed. And he did play Dr. Doom in the Fantastic Four movies that came out in 05 and 07. He passed away last Wednesday after a battle with cancer. He was only 56. One of his more recent movies was The Surfer back in 2024, a thriller that also starred Nicolas Cage, which just hit theaters back in May.
Taking my son for a surf.
Can't surf here.
It's a public beach.
Yeah, but nah. Look, I'm trying to do you a solid here. You paddle out into that break with your boy. I don't know what might happen. I know it's smart to lose face in front of your boy, but you gotta know when to back down, or it could get a whole lot worse. Plenty of family beaches for you to enjoy your afternoon. So get out of here. Forget this place.
That, of course, Julian McMahon in the movie The Surfer, also starring Nicolas Cage, which is out now.
Did you watch any movies this weekend?
Independence Day. Watched that on, I think, Saturday morning. And then there was a movie. There's a movie, actually. It's kind of like a found footage film, which is similar to Blair Witch. Not as grainy or gritty as that, but
same concept, like
kind of concept, yeah. Where like there's all this footage from. It's called The Bay.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty good for what appears to be a C or B movie. You know what I mean? Not like a major Hollywood production. And it's basically a girl who was like a reporter and was like reporting on this like little festival in this town at the time, and now is going back and recounting the events. And basically, I don't want to give too much of it away in case you want to watch it.
Some weird stuff happens.
Yeah, so there is there's a town on a bay, and there's everybody swimming in the water, and the water gets polluted, and all hell breaks loose.
Got it.
She's recounting and then there's, the footage is from people's cell phones and from the news reports and, body cam footage and stuff. So it's kind of all cobbled together with her sort of narrating along as to what was going on. Got it. But it's actually, like I said, it's not like a Michael Bay film, but it's also not bad for a B or a C quality movie. So that was it, though. We spent a lot of our time out running around and going places and seeing people and doing things. Weekend. Riverfest and La Crosse was obviously a big part of our weekend. Down there a couple of times. Eating food, drinking beers, trying to dodge the rain.
Really only an issue on one night.
Saturday,
lucky.
It came down, yeah. But no, it was our 4th was pretty good. Fireworks and food. We had some chili dogs last night. Wife wanted to it's sort of a thing every year because of the Nathans. We'll talk more about that.
I was just going to say, there's a whole that too.
Yeah. So she was swept up in the Oasis thing. She's not a huge Sabbath person, so I mean, she likes rock and the metal genre, but Oasis was reuniting for the first time in 16 years, and the brothers holding hands and hugging and emotional, and like you're wondering what's it going to be like because these guys fought each other like fisticuffs on stage, like they hated each other, and
they were able to pull off this reunion.
Yeah, and it seemed like it was good for all intents and purposes. So Five Finger Death Punch now, it's a little bit off.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Apologize if I'm sounding a little bit out of it. I think the second shot is affecting me.
Is that what it is?
So yeah, I've talked about this. I dealt with psoriasis for a long time. This January started doing the light treatments, the new and improved light treatments, and they worked a little bit, but then it leveled off and it sort of plateaued. And I just by the end of March, I was like not seeing any additional results. So when I went back into the dermatologist in May, talked to him about my options and decided to go with the Skyrizi. Got it through insurance. The first one was about a month ago, June 4th to be exact. And market improvements in the first month alone. And that was, just with the one shot. Then the second shot was this weekend. And then I don't have to take another one for 12 weeks. But this one, my guts are a little bit...
You're impacted a little bit more than you were the first go around.
It may have to do with the fact that it was a long holiday weekend and there was extra drinking and partying and eating and all that stuff. But there's certainly some additional stuff going on courtesy of the Skyrizi. But I tell you what, man, it's impressive. I can't believe it.
Well, for someone that's lived with it almost his entire life and tried lots and lots and lots and lots of different things over the years... And to see nothing, it's crazy. It's kind of crazy, huh?
And for me, I never really cared about the cosmetics of it all, right? And I know that's important to people. Thankfully, I never really had a problem with it on my face. It was on my legs. It was on my arms, but
chest.
I didn't really care all that much about the cosmetic side of it. For me, it was more, there was
comfort.
Number one, it was a lot of pain. I cannot, unless you've dealt with it, the pain that I had on my side was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never went away. It didn't matter what I did with lotions and baths and showers and stuff. It would just have a huge spot on my side.
Bigger than a basketball by far.
And then you're laying on your side at night, and it's like little shots of electricity constantly going through your skin over and over and over and over again. The tops of my feet were really bad. And so I would because you're wearing socks and shoes, you take them off and it
was bad. It was
flaky skin all over the place, and then you go to a hotel or something, and you're bleeding all over the place because you've got itchy skin, and all you got to do is roll one way and it cracks open, and next thing you know, you're bleeding all over the mattress, and you don't want to make it look like a crime scene in there. And I also don't like to wear clothing when I go to bed. I'm a naked sleeper. So, anyways, that part of it, the lack of pain, the no more flaky skin everywhere, and the no more open. Skin and sores and bleeding and all that stuff has been by far the best parts. So, but the gut issues noticeable.
Well, maybe it might be the chili cheese dogs.
Noticeable. But a couple of four brothers, in fact, in Detroit are being praised by cops and firefighters because they saved a couple of toddlers that got onto the roof of a house. We had a story similar to this last week.
Kids.
So two of the brothers saw him up there, went and got their two older brothers who climbed up a ladder. It turned out one of the toddlers had gotten out through an open window, and they're both going to be okay, but these four brothers are now being hailed as heroes in Detroit for their quick thinking and their action. Isaiah and Elijah Christopher said they were walking to the hardware store when they noticed two small children on a rooftop. Isaiah said, "We was walking past, going to the store. Yep. We seen some little kids on a roof. We ran over to check where there was. Realized the children were in danger." Isaiah said he and Elijah ran towards a woman who was a neighbor who told them to get back while she went to grab a ladder. The woman wanted to climb the ladder, but their older brothers, Calvin and Jabari, decided to climb the ladder themselves to save the toddlers. Calvin held the ladder steady while Jabari climbed up to the roof. Helped to get the toddlers down. Brothers fast acting, calling 911. Children, of course, okay. Everybody's going to be good.
Kids sneak away from you so fast.
Oh, blink of an eye, right?
Figured out how to get out on the roof, and good vantage point from up there, you know?
Another feel-good story about a kid who wandered off. This is similar to the one with the one in the desert. Very similar, where the kid kind of wandered off and the dog was out there.
Yes.
Same kind of thing. Cops in Arizona in July.
Yeah, wandering off.
Cops in Arizona found a 5-year-old boy who wandered into the desert after chasing after his dog. They released the chest cam footage from the cop who found him. They say the dog never left the kid's side.
It's going to be for complainant's grandson, who's 5 years old, wearing all green. He ran away from the location, chasing the family dog.
Hey, there you are, buddy. Hi, buddy.
Yeah, Fox 1, looks like they got the child.
Go see Mama? Let's go see her.
Don't do that.
Really appreciate it. No problem. That's how we do it. Great job.
Yeah, that police organization sharing body cam footage of how they rescued that kid who wandered off in June. The bloodhound Piper, tracking skills crucial in finding the boy quickly. Thanks to the quick response and dedication of our deputies, the boy was found safe with his loyal dog by his side and reunited with his relieved family. But yeah, the kid wanders off into the desert, 5 years old, in the middle of Arizona in June.
Ugh.
Chasing after his dog. The dog, to its credit, never left the kid after he got, lost out there in the desert. And they were able to use this other dog, a bloodhound named Piper, to track the kid and the dog down.
Yeah,
and
not the adventure
safely.
that kid wants is walking around in the desert lost at 5 years old.
Oof.
Wow.
Yeah. Got a text from Ogre earlier, said, I appreciate that you started your segment with Sabbath. I'm guessing in honor of Ozzy's last concert. Well, yeah. Michelle also wants to hear some Flyleaf. Thank you, Michelle. Try to get to that in a bit. Again, if you want to get in touch with us, visit rockmornings.com for all our contact info. You can also download the 95.7 The Rock app or the 92.9 The X app, and you can submit pictures and videos and voicemails through the app. Very easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Music in a bit from 3 Days Grace.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings.
You're a boss, right? You're in charge of people in this building. You get to determine their fate.
Not true, but yes, go on. What are you talking about?
Do you think you're a good boss or are you a bad boss?
Is there a mediocre? Is that an option? I don't think I'm terrible. How's that? Is that good?
6 signs that you're a bad boss.
Okay.
According to Forbes magazine. Are you the coercer? A manipulator. The boss who manipulates their team to prioritize their own personal interests over the team's needs.
I do not think I am that at all.
You're not a coercer. You don't coerce.
So. Mm-mm.
Are you the avoider? The type of boss that doesn't show up for the team? They fail to respond to emails, frequently don't give their team the support needed for their success. Oh, not responding to emails.
I don't think that I'm that. I definitely show up for the team. I'm there at all the things.
I'm not referring to you here.
So I'm just saying, I don't think that describes me either. I wouldn't.
There is a boss in this building who has a little bit of trouble responding to emails.
I would say that that's not me.
I wouldn't necessarily put that boss in this category, but there's a bit of a personality trait there, the avoider. 6 signs that you're a bad boss. The micromanager. Boy, there's a lot of those in the world. I think we know what that is, right? The type of boss overly involved in the day-to-day dealings of their team, often dictating personal preferences for how the work should be done.
Mm-hmm.
Look, dude, if the work's getting done, then don't worry about it. You worry about you. I'm not coming in here looking at your tabs.
Tasking someone with something and then coming in and maybe even just redoing the whole process because it isn't done the way they want it.
The over-the-shoulder boss, right? The micromanager. Are you the blocker?
I don't even know what that means.
This type of boss fails to recognize individual contributions. They get in the way of the team's progression by focusing on their own advancements.
I don't think so.
You're not focused on your own advancement?
Look at all that advancement.
Oh, you're speeding past everyone.
Blocking others to get forward, stepping on them.
This might be you. This next one.
Probably. It's got to be someone.
6 signs that you're a bad boss. The hoarder.
All right.
What?
What?
I don't know if this actually refers to hoarding
jobs,
resources,
responsibilities,
and just all the crap that sits outside your office, which we now have another room for, but there's a hoarding problem there. This type of boss, the hoarder, holds all of the key information and selectively shares it with the team. If ever, they can cause duplicate work and anxiety amongst the team.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I get now a little bit more by that description.
That's if you're going to fit into one of these categories as of right now, this is the one you fit into.
Yeah, but I don't think people end up doing duplicate work.
It's not. No, it's just people can't do work because it's not the way you want it done. So just don't do the work. We're going to separate the T-shirts. All right, have fun with that, Gene, because no one can help you with that because you're the only one who knows what the hell we're doing.
That's not true. That's not true. Faith helped me. It was a great project. We did it together. I explained once, and we were on it. Team. Done.
I'm not going to respond to that.
I don't... Say that again, because I don't even think that's not reflective.
The hoarder.
Yeah.
This type of boss holds all of the key information and selectively shares it with the team if ever. This can cause duplicate work and anxiety amongst the team.
I don't think I hold on to anything that's secret that I don't share with you because I don't want other people to do it. That's not true. It's not. And duplicate work?
The blamer is the last one. 6 signs you're a bad boss. This type of boss will blame others if something goes wrong, will fail to ever take accountability. It's their reputation at all costs.
No, that is definitely not.
I would say the hoarder might be the category you would fall into.
Closest, maybe, but not.
Totally the hoarder.
Totally take responsibility.
I didn't say you didn't take responsibility.
Totally do.
I called you the hoarder.
Immediately.
6 signs that you're a bad boss.
Forbes? Is that what you said?
Yeah, and these are not, our job is always so weird when it comes to these things.
Well, and a lot of people
we're in an office setting, but we're not technically like an office job, you know? This isn't like working in a cubicle farm where everyone's typing up TPS reports and crap like that. Yeah, micromanaging, that might be my least favorite of those two. The boss who's like constantly concerned with every little tidbit of whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some on there that sound horrible. Basically, the blocker walking on top of backs to get that person, others to get to success.
That doesn't, whatever. Am I getting a paycheck? But the constantly in your business, like, just go to your stupid office and leave me alone. I'll get the work done. If the work gets done, then what do you care? Right?
Bad bosses. Hopefully you don't have one.
There's plenty of them out there. Didn't have like a lazy boss either, like the boss who just sort of doesn't do anything, right? The coercer, the avoider, the micromanager, the blocker, the hoarder, and the blamer. 6 signs you're a bad boss, thanks to Forbes magazine. Jean apparently thinks she's the perfect boss.
I do not think that whatsoever.
I didn't hear
I
a
said
lot of
mediocre. Is there a mediocre in there? Is there not terrible and not great and just good enough? Then that's that category.
We're going to double dip on the Rockfest music as we have now moved past the 4th of July.
You're talking next week already.
A week from today, I'm picking up the RV from my guy Tyler. I'm very excited. Brand new RV, brand new air conditioner. I'm going to break that sumbitch in.
Was it the one that
I don't know. No, it's a drivable. It's not the camper that was down there.
Got it.
Nope. So I'm excited. So a week from today, I'll be picking that bad boy up. We'll get it all stocked and ready to go. And then we hit the road next Tuesday to get to Canot. Get set up Tuesday afternoon. Broadcast from there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Interviewing bands, doing stage announcements, rocking out, drinking beers, eating food, taking showers, applying Gold Bond medicated powder. I'm going to be buying some of that. Yeah, it's going to be, it's always swassy up there. It's always hot. Looking forward to it, though. Rockfest right around the corner.
Week.
Rock-fest.com for tickets and info. We're going to double dip here. We're going to hear from 3 Days Grace and Marilyn Manson, both playing Rockfest in just about 10 days from now. Crazy.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find the daily podcast at rockmornings.com.
Marilyn Manson with the Beautiful People on Rock Mornings. Days away from now. Marilyn Manson and 3 Days Grace at Rockfest. Go to rock-fest.com for tickets and
Literally
info.
a week away.
I know, right? Get to see Drowning Pool again. Got to bring them their stuff. Brew Crew took 2 out of 3 from the Marlins over the weekend, including Brandon Woodruff's return to the mound yesterday. 6 strong innings in his first start in 651 days. Back at home tonight for the first of 3 against the Dodgers. 6:40 first pitch for the Brew Crew. Only 6 games left before the All-Star break. Only one Brewer player made the All-Star team, too. It was Peralta.
Really? Okay.
As far as I think that's what I saw. Alvin Kamara. Not the worst first pitch of all time, but pretty darn close. Did you see it?
No.
Alvin Kamara, his first pitch at Wrigley on Saturday wasn't as bad as 50 cents, which is perhaps the worst of all time. But he got himself a do-over, and he corrected his mistake, and the crowd was delighted by that.
Oh, he got a do-over?
There's the first one.
Yeah.
Gets the ball back. And there's the second one.
Some redemption there.
Yeah, most first pitch attempts don't get a second shot at it, but Alvin Kamara put his glove out, and the Cubs mascot willingly gave the ball back, and his second pitch much better. The first one chunked into the ground well in front of the home plate, and yeah, it wasn't good. But again, not as bad as 50 cents. If you haven't seen the video of that, Alvin Kamara first pitch on Saturday at Wrigley. Kamara there in town to promote NASCAR, apparently. He's a NASCAR ambassador. The city obviously hosting the street race over the weekend, and he was there to be an ambassador for NASCAR. Former Boston Bruins tough guy Lyndon Byers dead at the age of 61. Team making the announcement on the 5th. Bruins said he died on the 4th, though they didn't list a cause of death. Lyndon was a fan favorite across his 9 seasons in the black and gold, thanks to his rugged, rough and tumble style. Byers playing for the Bruins from 83 to 92. Racked up a total of 959 penalty minutes, the 11th most in team history. Part of the Bruins teams that went to the Stanley Cup final in 88 and 90. After he retired, Lyndon Byers, LB, spent about 25 years as a radio host for Boston's WAAF, which is where I interned and got to know LB. Appeared in 4 episodes of the television show Rescue Me, Dennis Leary on FX. Also was in a bunch of movies, including Shallow Hal, Stuck on You, and a couple others. But
Friday he passed away? Is it?
The 5th, yeah. So Saturday. Well, they announced it on Saturday, but it sounds like he died on Friday. But yeah, I was an intern at WAAF in the early 90s, and LB was the sports guy on the Hillman Morning Show, and called everybody Kid. That was his nickname for people, if you didn't remember your name.
Hey, Kid.
Hey, Kid.
Worked for everybody.
Universal. You cannot tell the story of a hockey goon, the history of goons in the world of hockey, without talking about LB. He was one of the best enforcers / goons that were out there. And without him, Cam Neely would have probably never had the career that he did. And he was a great guy. He liked to party a lot. I'll tell a funny story. He's dead, so and nobody around here probably knows who he is anyways. But when I was interning at WAF, my first real introduction into the world of radio, right? I had gone to college for it for a year, and this was my first summer intern program. And the studio was here, but the studio, the morning show office, was in another part of the building. Mm-hmm. And we had these little DAT recorders. Remember the little DAT tapes, right? And that was what they did for the show. They would keep all the stuff on DAT tapes. And I'd be in the studio and I'd get faxes and I'd go answer, phone calls and do whatever, run contests.
Whatever work they told you to take care of. One
of the other things was that if they had a bit that they wanted to get, unlike now with all the computers and stuff, I would have to run from the studio to the office to get the DAT tape, right? And it was well organized. Chris Engel, who was the producer of the show at the time, did a fantastic job. Super nice guy. He's dead too now. But anyways, fast forward. Engel sent me to go get a DAT tape. And as I'm going to the office, you have to go through the cafeteria, right? They have a little lunchroom area with tables, and there's a little, soda machines and snack machines and stuff. Well, there's a woman just sitting there, and I don't recognize her. Now, I had been there for a few weeks. I kind of got to know some of the people that were in the building.
Coming and going.
This was a morning show, too, so there wasn't a lot, like here, there wasn't a lot of people in the building until after a certain hour. So she was just sitting at the table, right? And I said, hey, how's it going, and whatever. And I come back to the studio, and I got the DAT tape, and Engel said, did you have any problem finding it? And I said, no. I said, I was able to find it. I said, but there's a girl sitting in the lunchroom. I said, I don't know who she is, but she's just sitting there. And all the guys on the show, Greg Hill, the host of the show, Chris Engel, the producer of the show, LB, the sports guy / goofball, and Kevin, I forget his last name now, but Kevin was the funny guy, right, and did all the produced bits and stuff. They all started laughing. And I didn't get the joke, obviously, because I hadn't been there. And apparently this was a woman whose only job or interest in life was to come to the studio and service LB. And so that was what she did every day.
She just came and showed up at work also.
Yeah.
And was around.
And it was a big funny thing because I didn't know who the hell she was. And so, yeah. Anyways, that's
you saw her often? Is that what you're saying
I got to know her, yeah, afterwards. I was like, oh, okay. So, okay. And LB's like, make sure you're nice to her, kid. I was like, don't worry, LB. I didn't want to take a right cross from him. No, thank you. Sports on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. We'll get to bad news, heavy music a bit later on. We're going to talk about naps. What do you know about naps?
I know some stuff about naps.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about naps.
Some naps.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Weekdays, 6 to 9.
One of the many performers at the Back to the Beginning concert on Saturday, Lizzie Hale.
I heard some really impressive stuff, too, about her performance.
Well, yeah, she's got a voice, man.
Yeah. She was like one
powerful.
Of the highlights, apparently.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised that there wasn't like a big, giant all-star jam type thing. You know what I mean? I thought that at some point towards the end that everybody would come out.
The heavy hitters would be all together.
And there wasn't really that, so still cool, though. Back to the beginning. Lots of great video clips and footage of that all over the place. Again, I did not purchase it because I know I wasn't going to be home all day to watch it.
We were really close because I had told my husband about it earlier in the week, and he's like, we should do that. And then, Saturday happened, and we weren't around a lot and all of that stuff. So not able to do it that way. But I'm sure, lots and lots on the internet and clips and things you could
This is bad news for me as I'm getting closer and closer to 50. A new study linking daytime napping to increased mortality rates in older adults may have some people rethinking their midday snooze.
Don't nap? Is that what we're talking about?
Apparently, but only if you're older. Supposedly. The study, which was presented last month at Sleep 2025, the 39th annual meeting of the Associated Professional Sleep Societies in Seattle, Washington. Who knew that was a thing?
I did not. Professional sleep societies?
Yeah, so the Associated Professional Sleep Societies hosts an annual conference for the last almost 40 years called Sleep, and this year was Sleep 2025. This was in Seattle, Washington. They found that frequent longer and irregular daytime naps, especially in the early afternoon, were linked to a higher risk of death over an 8-year period. The lead author of the study said, "Our study fills a gap in knowledge." This person is a postdoctoral research fellow at Massachusetts General Hospital. The research shows not just whether someone naps, but how long, how variable, and when they nap during the day may be meaningful indicators of future health risk. The study included 86,565 participants. So it was pretty substantial, pretty meaty, right? This isn't just 1,000 people answered an online poll. Averaging 63 years of age. So I do have a bit to go here. All of whom worked regular daytime schedules. That's not me. Who were monitored by actigraphy, which detects movement during sleep but not brain activity. Scientists define daytime napping as sleeping between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m.
That's day.
That's when I sleep.
That's pretty much day.
After the initial study, researchers kept tabs on the participants for 8 years and discovered that 5,189 of them, 6%, died during that time period. The average research showed that taking longer naps and napping between 11 and 1 or between 1 and 3 was associated with a higher mortality rate. Research results adjusted for other potential factors influencing mortality like demographics, weight, smoking, alcohol consumption, nighttime sleep duration. Researchers looking at it all. Getting 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep is required to maintain health and reduce the risk of developing dangerous medical conditions like heart disease and diabetes. Naps are not necessarily problematic unless they are used to compensate for chronically poor sleep.
Okay. So it's not a bad thing once in a while is what they're saying, but if you're constantly on the spectrum where you're compensating for the 4 hours or 5 hours that isn't healthy in the night before, then that's not a good thing. Supposedly. And there's a professional society of sleep people who have been getting together for 39 years that we didn't know about till right now. Also that.
Someone who requires daily naps to get through the day is likely not getting sufficient sleep during the night or has underlying health conditions that causes daytime sleepiness. Now, I would like to take a nap every day. I don't have to.
And you don't.
Right, because I have a busy schedule, so I always have stuff going on.
But there are those times when you do, and I think they're saying that's okay. I think that's okay.
I thought naps were supposed to be good. What are you doing to me, man? I need naps to be a good thing. I need a study from the sleep people that says naps are great. Take more naps.
Have a nap.
I got Miss Cleo up there on the north side telling me to take more naps to be closer to God, and then I got these people telling me I'm going to die. Great. Wonderful. That's a lot of research just to figure out that naps could kill you.
I don't think it's the naps can kill you. It's the... They're noticing a trend there with that.
We got the friggin' sports coming up. We got bad news with happy music coming up. And, of course, our daily check-ins. If you want to get in touch with us, visit us online at rockmornings.com.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Got a text from Alex, said, good morning. I watched Back to the Beginning last night, 8.5 hours of a live stream, bawled like a baby for most of it. It was really incredible. Yeah, I mean, if you go and you look at the set lists of all the bands that played, beginning with Mastodon, doing a cover of Supernaut with Danny Carey from Tool, Anthrax doing Into the Void, Hailstorm doing Perry Mason, Lamb of God doing Children of the Grave, which is a killer song. And then I think they released shortly after a studio version of it. So it was something they had been working on, obviously. They did have an all-star group with a bunch of people, including Nuno Betancourt from Extreme, Scott Ian of Anthrax, Mike Borden, Lizzie Hale, David Draymond, Whitfield Crane, Ugly Kid Joe, one of those bands that does a cover of War Pigs.
It was I think it was the members of Black Sabbath being together after so long, 20 years, and Ozzy's presence and the fact that he's so laid up, but his vocals were strong and he was there, and everybody really paying tribute that
It was good to see Guns N' Roses did a bunch of Sabbath covers. Like a lot of the bands played their own tunes, which
Metallica covered them too, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they all did, but Guns played, I think, 4 or 5 Sabbath tunes, and then they played their 2 big hits, or their biggest hits, Welcome to the Jungle and Paradise City. Metallica, Creeping Death, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Battery, Master Puppets, and they did a couple of Sabbath tunes, including Hole in the Sky. And then Ozzy, of course, did his set, and then Sabbath came out and did their 4 songs, and yeah, Alex, sorry you were crying the whole time, but
I get it. I understand.
An epic moment for rock and roll.
Yes.
Honoring the legends before it's too late.
Mm-hmm. And raising tons of money for Parkinson's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In his hometown, nonetheless. Full circle. 50-year career.
We got the friggin' sports coming up in a bit. Bad news, happy music as well. You went on a little road trip this weekend, right?
Yeah, well, we had a busy weekend, too. Down at Riverfest, we had a huge cookout with a bunch of people at our house on Saturday night. Had some visiting relatives that we were going to go see my mom, but had some relatives that were visiting from out of town that surprised us on Saturday, so we did that instead. Spent more than a few hours at the cell phone store because of a broken cell phone.
That's always
this weekend.
That's always a few hours.
Ugh. So that was part of a day. But then yesterday drove down the river road to Nelson.
Yeah.
So across the bridge from Wabasha. Lovely drive down there. Went to the creamery, split a sandwich. And then we drove to a distillery that's also in Nelson that I had just heard about not too long ago. Small little lovely place that does their own gin and vodka and kind of in a field. Township 23, right off the highway there in Nelson on the way to Pepin. So we stopped there for a very interesting cocktail and then drove the Wisconsin side of the Great River Road home and stopped in Alma at Danziger Vineyards on the top of the bluff, kind of by Buena Vista Park near there next to the city park, and lovely views of, the Minnesota side of the river and the Mississippi spread out before you. So, yeah, little road trip.
Any snacks?
No, because we knew we were going to go get lunch.
Get some food?
Yeah.
Somebody, I don't know who it is, put together a list of our favorite gas station snacks, and they got it wrong.
I think every family has their own kind of thing for road tripping because we have the regulars that we always get.
Chips.
Yeah, my husband always.
Some kind of chips.
If we're road tripping, he always gets pizza-flavored combos. Always. That is his go-to snack if we're driving.
Number 1 is beef jerky.
And that's popular. A lot of people do that.
Here's where it goes astray, though. Right off the bat. Like, number 2 is, no. Rice Krispie Treats come in at number 2 for America's favorite gas station snacks. Rice Krispie Treats?
Well, they sell the really big ones.
I get it, but I'm not reaching for one of those if I'm on a road trip.
Sticky fingers?
Yeah, big time. The packaging.
And you can't keep going back into it like you can for the chips
eat
or the
one and
nuts
it's done.
Or whatever.
Skittles at number 3. Again,
I was just going to say that's probably that's a popular one.
Taquitos at number 4. Chex Mix, finally some sort of salty chip sort of thing.
Just hot. You would never eat those.
Snickers at number 6. Bugles at number 7. Starburst Minis at number 8. Nacho Cheese Doritos, Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and then Peanut M&Ms. The final 3. America's favorite gas station snacks. Beef jerky, okay. I'll give you that. Again, bag, going back in.
I like the Twizzlers. I use those for road trips, too. Yeah. What, you don't like Twizzlers at all?
I don't dislike them. I just don't.
You would never grab them for that?
I never have a desire for Twizzlers. Like, I've never in my head been like, you know what I need is some friggin' Twizzlers.
I guess it's just one of those things. Like I said, the kids were little. We'd get the same, combos and Twizzlers and Skittles. And so those are the go-tos and the ones we still Pringles.
Rice Krispie Treats, though, number 2. Who the hell made that list? Friggin' sports coming up in just a bit. Right now it's Wage War.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. More from Brian and Gene is coming up.
The 4th of July has come and gone. The greatest holiday in the history of holidays. Better than Christmas, better than Oktoberfest, better than them all. The day that we said, no more. Planted our flag in the ground and became America. The 4th of July. Let freedom ring. And ever since that moment, when George Washington kicked the King of England right in his face with a boot made from American leather, we've been looking for a new champion. Someone to lead the way into the future. Someone to represent exactly what America is all about. And that's overdoing it. And that's exactly what Joey Chestnut did this weekend. Again at the Nathan's world-famous hot dog eating competition. 70 and a half.
Didn't reach his goal.
But he still throttled the competition.
Formed from the shards of shattered angels, wielding the white sword of righteousness, he will never fail or falter, for he defies the ministers of our fate and the limitations of our birth. And he will not stop until he stands side by side with the gods, his glory strung like beads of light to adorn the arc of history itself.
I gotta be honest, I tune in a lot just to see George Shea do his intros because they're awesome. That guy's doing it right off the cuff, out there in front of all those people. It's hot.
He says he writes them in advance, but he doesn't write them. He just kind of
Well, you have to have some semblance of an idea of what you're going to say.
But he's awesome at it.
It's unbelievable to llisten to.
So Joey Chestnut not able to eat last year because of the vegan hot dog thingy sponsorship, but then they brought him back after his Netflix special last year. He 30 more hot dogs than the next person?
Oh, he at one point early on, he was averaging 9 dogs a minute. And they were talking about another record being set because I think his record is 76?
77 is what his goal was to beat his own record. Yeah,
and
his goal is,
he didn't beat his record, but he got pretty darn close. Obviously, as you start to get towards the end, it becomes more of an endurance race than it is, a speed thing, right? Just endure. And he held on and got himself the mustard belt.
70.5 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes. The Nathan's famous 4th of July champion of the world, Joey Chestnut. How do you feel?
I was excited. I love being here. Man, I wish I had ate a couple more. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be back next year.
Joey Jaws Chestnut did it again. Mickey Sudo did it again in the women's competition. She was struggling from the jump. Her husband's one of the guys that Joey was up against, and he was talking about how she was struggling going to her shoulder, going to her shirt right away from the get-go, and that's not a good sign, but she still throttled the competition. We'll see.
The next guy close to the Joey weighed like 46.
Yeah. It's Joey and everybody else. It really is. But age catches up to all of us. Yep, it really does. Yep. And someday, I think it's going to be a combination of age is going to catch up to him and somebody out there that we don't know about. It's not going to be one of these people that we've seen so far. I think it's going to be some sort of unknown person comes out of nowhere and just for whatever reason has got it and beats him. I don't know when that day is, but I mean, and they were showing the highlights of the year a couple of years ago where he choked out that protester, got on stage, and he just kept eating. It was like great. One person who didn't have a great day, though, at the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, the women's standings shown on a graphic on the event organizer's social media site listed Madison Barone DQ. She's not listed in the final results distributed by Major League Eating, which runs the contest. Mrs. Barone experienced urges contrary to swallowing after the contest, but before the conclusion of presentations and the awarding of places by Major League Eating rules, urges contrary to swallowing before the conclusion of the event, including presentations and the awarding of prizes, results in a DQ. Urges contrary to swallowing is the key phrase here, and I think we know what that means, right?
Somebody
got to taste all them hot dogs a second time around when she booted and didn't rally. She had urges contrary to swallowing. Madison Barone got DQ'd because she yacked up all them dogs. I don't know how many she ate, to be honest with you, before she yacked them up, but there's been years where we've seen it happen on stage where, like, it just, for whatever reason, it hits the opponent the wrong way. And
that is a hell of a way to say that, isn't that?
Urges.
It's just contrary to swallowing.
Contrary to swallowing.
You got to have rules like that when it's
what do they say? Death by misadventure,
yes.
Right? Wasn't that Bon Scott?
Bon Scott.
Death by misadventure.
Mm-hmm. Urges.
Choked on his own yak.
Contrary to swallowing.
4th of July. Friggin' sports brought to you by Joey Chestnut, the greatest competitive eater of all time, at least when it comes to hot dogs. We got bad news, happy music, and we'll get to it next.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
You're about to enter a beautiful, exciting, wonderful new world.
A cockroach living in your nostril. Now that's just nasty. Add in some haven't pooped for 30 days.
Poop is raining from the ceilings. Poop.
And sprinkle in some hashtag Florida Man for flavor.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man. Florida Man. Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man quits his Burger King job, steals all of their chicken nuggets.
It's bad news.
Bad news.
With happy music.
Let's rock.
There's a new piece of art. A statue. Yeah, statue. In New York City. That's supposed to look like one thing, but it also kind of looks like another thing. Foot Fountain is the name of the sculpture. 10-foot tall art installation erected in Manhattan's Highline Park. It's a pink leg cut off at about the knee with a bunch of tongues sticking out of it. A giant foot with red toenails. There's a contraption nearby that people can pedal. Make the top of the sculpture squirt. And, again, a pink phallic-like leg that squirts out of the top when you ride a bike has people thinking it's not a foot. It's actually a penis.
Now, that penis had a mole on it. I'd recognize that penis anywhere.
Does it look like a foot? Or does it look like...
Well, it's a very janky-looking foot. I mean, it's... I guess, art is supposed to make you feel something, and I feel disgusted when I see this thing. So people, of course, can't stop gawking at it, taking pictures with it.
I'm sure.
People in the park, awestruck by the size of it. Videos, pictures. Mika Rottenberg, a world-renowned artist, came up with the concept, revealing it was originally intended as an irrigation fountain for flowers. Now she says it'll be used to keep New Yorkers cool on hot summer days. Are you going to stand under the penis foot and let it squirt you?
I see the penis foot. It
looks like the big toe is broken. The way that it's pointed. But then, of course, the leg itself is just sort of creepy because it's got all these lips and tongues sticking out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got these other, it looks like sores all over it. And then
but then if you pedal it, it squirts water on people?
But then it squirts water out the top.
Yeah, it's a bad-looking leg foot thing.
Anyways.
And if you're walking at it at the correct angle, you don't even see the foot because it's covered by bushes. So then you're just seeing the top part of it, which is very phallic.
Yeah. Cheryl texted in and said,
funny looking.
Just looked at the sculpture with a lot of laughing, crying faces. It's something, man. I got to be honest. I'd rather have the big blue baby. That creepy ass thing. Bring that back. Instead of this creepy penis foot thing that's in the park in New York. Oh, thank you. People. Squirting people. There's a new law in Florida that just went into effect. And a hashtag Florida man broke it like 2 minutes later.
Okay.
Doesn't take very long for
What
Florida
was the
man.
new law?
It's a super speeder law.
Ooh, so going over
way fast.
Okay, over 100?
And a lot of states already have something like this where there's increments to how
levels.
fast you're going, right? So if you're going 5 to 10 over the speed limit, it's probably just a fine. If you're going 25 plus or whatever, then there's maybe a court date involved. But Florida got a new law called the super speeder law, and a hashtag Florida man got caught speeding last week, and his timing could not be worse. Florida adding the law that hands down tougher penalties if you're caught driving over 100 miles an hour. You can now get up to a month in jail for driving over 100 miles an hour. The law went into effect at midnight last Tuesday, and the guy got clocked doing 104 and a 70 just 2 minutes later. Officials confirmed he was the very first person to get ticketed under the new law. First-time offenders can get 30 days in jail, along with a $500 fine. Not clear if they let him off with the fine, but there is footage of him being put in handcuffs, so he probably not going to get the fine, might be doing the time.
Yeah.
Either way, he's the first person in Florida to get caught. Doesn't want to be the second because repeat offenders can get up to 90 days in jail.
The reason being stopped, the speed limit's 70 miles an hour. You're doing 104.
If you're doing 50 miles over the posted speed limit, or again, 100 or more, you could face 30 days in jail and a $500 fine, or both. Wow. If you do a second time, it could be 90 days in jail, a $1,000 fine, or both.
Don't speed again, mister. Watch your speed.
Yeah, or if you're going to speed, keep it under 100 because...
In check.
90 days in jail.
I am speed.
A woman in Texas was busted on Saturday after allegedly trying to stroll out of a supermarket with a cart full of goods, including $150 worth of beef tongues. First of all, why do they have $150 worth of beef tongues in a grocery store in Texas?
Well,
is it a popular dish?
Maybe. But what? That's a lot, I would think.
They're calling
beef
her...
is so expensive, baby.
They're calling her the Beef Tongue Bandit down there in Texas. It's happened at about 1 in the afternoon. Police department said an officer just popped into the store for lunch when he spotted Roxanne B. Hernandez walking out of the store without paying. He tried to stop her, but a scuffle unfolded, which prompted another officer to come and help. Around the same time, the suspect's husband showed up and escalated the situation.
Oh, my gosh, the husband shows up?
Luckily, the officers were able to calm him down and get her under arrest. Police say the Beef Tongue Bandit slipped out the door with about $308 worth of groceries, including the $150 worth of beef tongues.
So it was that, but it was a whole bunch of other things.
And a 12-pack of Dr. Pepper Zero to wash it all down with.
First day with the new tongue.
She might have been cooking it in that.
Yeah, soften it up, right? Because you got to boil that forever for it to be palatable, right? Beef
I just
tongue?
looked at recipes. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not having that.
You wouldn't eat beef tongue?
I'm not eating that.
Not eating that? No beef tongue for you?
And I'm sure it's delicious. I'm seeing recipes with 5 stars and all the things, but no thanks.
That's a lot of beef tongue.
Appreciate
what
that.
What does the average beef tongue go for?
I don't know, because it's beef. It's expensive right now.
Well, I know that. But is it just one beef tongue, or is it 4?
She took a whole cart out of all the things. She just filled her cart and left. Didn't pay for any of it.
Driver was hitting everything but the lottery while slamming into cars and dragging a police officer. This is in Boston. Accused of leading police on a chase through downtown last Tuesday, facing a very long list of charges following the damaging drive. Police say they attempted to pull her over in her black Honda Passport, but then she took off. While attempting to open the car door from the inside latch, the suspect suddenly hit the accelerator, causing the car to launch forward, dragging Officer Berry approximately 20 feet. Officer Berry had let go of the inside latch, at which time the suspect fled. Another on-duty member of the police working a detail saw the commotion and the car coming towards him, at which point he was informed by passing motorists that the operator of the vehicle had just struck multiple vehicles and a police officer.
Oh my gosh.
When I came outside, there was no other second car that had been in an accident. And I was like, okay, this is a little bizarre. And the cops said, no, she started smashing cars downtown like an hour ago. It's not an ordinary to see somebody sort of maybe driving too fast, but this is, of course, off the charts.
The second officer approached the vehicle after it had stopped and tried to get the woman to get out, and she again pressed the accelerator, causing him to move back in fear of being struck by the motor vehicle. Officer was physically holding the driver while she was fleeing and was in contact with the vehicle as it fled. Yeah, apparently hitting everything but the lottery, according to the report. Fleeing from the police. We've talked about Brazilian butt lifts before. Most of the time when we discuss these things, it's because somebody gets them in a back alley somewhere.
Well, we usually don't talk about the ones that go great. So you got to assume that it's ones that something happened.
Bad
something
news
tragic.
And happy music, yeah.
Something happened. We aren't like, hey, they've done this many successful surgeries, so yay.
Apparently, Brazilian butt lifts have a disgusting smell that goes along with them.
Oh, gross.
Are you familiar with this?
I am not.
The Brazilian butt lift surgery, procedure that enhances the size and shape of someone's ass through a fat transfer. They're moving fat from one area to the other area.
I'm open
Often
to that.
considered a dangerous procedure by experts since the possibility of death, infection, and a whole lot more. But not only is the BBL surgery risky, but there's apparently a bizarre and gross side effect that comes from it that might make patients reconsider. The BBL smell is real, says Dr. Eric Anderson. The unexpected side effect, often described as musty or sour.
Like, it lingers? Like it goes with you for days?
Team of experts say that the smell is often expected for BBL patients after sweating or sitting for long periods.
Oh, so it stays on forever. It's like and when it's warm out and you know how your cheeks stick to leather?
Mm-hmm.
Like those seats inside of
a lot of sweaty cheeks this time of year.
And then they're smelly.
If the patient was overfilled with fat during the procedure, fat necrosis, which is often fatty tissue in the butt, will die. As a result, a rancid smell could develop. So not just from gas or farting.
No,
but just from the skin and the flesh and the fat dying, and you're carrying around stinky, dead fat in your ass. And it's smelling up the joint. And you secrete it when you sweat.
That paints a beautiful picture. Thank you.
That's always nice.
Mm-hmm.
One hospital recommends that people with Brazilian butt lifts use gentle, fragrance-free wet wipes or a bidet to properly clean themselves after using a bathroom. It's one of those situations where you just jump in the shower afterwards. Last but not least, 33-year-old man in China showed up to an emergency room with severe abdominal pain. Turned out to have a foot-long eel, a live eel, in his abdominal cavity. Showed up at the hospital, pale face, sweating profusely, complaining of stomach pain. A CT scan of his abdomen showed a foreign object that seemed to have pierced his stomach and ended up in his abdominal cavity. The man's abdomen was already as hard as a board, and fearing a potentially fatal situation, doctors decided to perform laparoscopic emergency surgery. While exploring the man's abdomen, they were shocked to discover a live eel swimming around his organs. During the operation,
swimming around,
the doctors found that the eel had completely drilled through the intestinal wall and was now swimming in his abdominal cavity, which was at risk of becoming infected if not treated immediately. Using a clamp-like instrument, they managed to grab and remove the eel, sutured the hole in the guy's colon where this thing ate through, and flushed the abdominal cavity with saline solution to minimize the risk of infection. After the surgery, man recovering, apparently, discharged from the hospital. No word on what happened to the eel.
How'd he get in there? Did they talk about that?
How else? How else? Although the medical experts involved in this case did not discuss how the eel got into the man's colon, it wasn't too difficult for people to deduce. Everyone knows how he got in. You silly Jerry. Someone else in the comments said he sat on it accidentally. Yeah, that guy put a live eel up his ass. It got into his colon. It ate through that. Then it was in his abdominal cavity, just swimming around.
Man, oh man, you really got to want to put stuff up your butt to get a live eel.
People do. People do want to really put stuff up their butt.
I know. Like, I'm sure this will be fine with this live thing. Ugh.
It's more pleasurable. It's squirmy. It's
get
squirming
a toy.
Around.
Isn't there something that like a
something you can plug into the wall?
Yes.
Wasn't enough for this guy.
Okay. Swimming around in his abdomen. Swimming around.
Bad news, happy music. We'll get to our daily check-ins after Static X.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings. Call.
Hello.
Email.
I tried emailing you.
Text. So many ways to check in with us. Check. We rely on you guys for traffic updates, requests, and all sorts of other stuff.
Check this out.
Rockmornings.com is the website. Head there for all of our contact info. Got a text from John. How did the eel story not start out Florida man? Because he was China man. That's what he was.
Mm-hmm.
Guy from China, not a guy from Florida. Stuck a live eel up his butt, and it chewed through his colon, got into his abdominal cavity,
gross.
And was just swimming around.
You can't live very long like that, right? Like, if the doctors wouldn't have done that immediately, I would think you'd die. The eel can't be just swimming around in your abdomen for very long.
Yeah,
like a movable aquarium, you know what I mean? You're not a tank.
Number one, not putting eels in my butt. Number two,
just swimming around.
Yeah. Text from someone else who said, tongue, the only food that tastes you back.
No, thank you. Mm-mm.
Cheryl texted in earlier. We were talking about road trip snacks. She said, Dot's pretzels are my go-to. She likes the honey mustard and the original. They're delicious. Also texted in and said she looked at the foot sculpture from the park in New York City. That looks kind of like a weird foot penis.
It does look like that. And it just has, there's just a lot wrong with it.
Got multiple text messages from Vicky. Said, Westy and I had Back to the Beginning on from the start. All 7+ hours. A long-ass concert, but amazing lineup. Overall, pretty great. Got that Jailbroke Fire Stick. And it was airing on one of the many pay-per-view channels, but the buffering was rough for the last half of it. Yeah, that's the problem with Jailbroke Fire Sticks, is that sometimes you get lucky with a really good stream, and sometimes you don't. Alex said, good morning. Just watched Back to the Beginning last night. 8.5 hours of a live stream. Bawled like a baby for most of it.
He was tearing up.
He was very moved by the performances. Ogre earlier said, I can appreciate that you started your segment with Black Sabbath, I'm guessing in honor of Ozzy's last concert. Yes. That's why we started the morning with some Paranoid. Hopefully you had a good start to your day. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be back in the studio tomorrow. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Have a great day.